Hey, 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 and we are back. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of Seeking Vibes right here. My name is the host, of course, Dale Quigley, and I hope you are all going to enjoy this evening's show. Yeah, just before I bring out my fantastic guest, I always like to start the show off. As you know, I always say, when you're feeling good, you listen to the music, but when you're feeling bad, you understand the lyrics. So each and every show, I'd like to stay tuned and just, songs that always bring something out of me. So tonight, this is a song by an artist called Pink, and the song is called Perfect. And it goes a little bit like this. I'm not going to read the whole song, just the parts that I find that are truly important. It says, "Made the wrong turn once or twice, dragged my way out, blood and fire. Bad decisions, but that's all right. Welcome to my silly life. Mistreated, misplaced, and misunderstood. Miss Know It All. It's all good. It didn't slow me down. Mistaken always is second guessing. Underestimated me. Underestimated. Look, I'm still around. Pretty please. Don't ever feel like you're less than perfect." And that's true in this world. I mean, a lot of times we make mistakes, we beat ourselves up, and then we feel less than who we truly are. But that is not the case. We are all human, we all do things, but you can always bounce back. And that is the most important part of it all, is that bouncing back. And that's when you have to know, you know what, your mistakes are just mistakes. And this is how we learn in life. We can't learn unless we're making mistakes. So, but just want to say hello to our side panel, all the great people that have come on. We've got our good friend, Mr. Timothy Shaw. Tim, it's so good to see you, man. And of course, we got Mystical Awakening Vodcast, which of course is the lovely Deb DeRoos. So, guys, yes, and tonight, like I said, I've been looking forward to do. When I started this show, I my guest tonight is somebody who, I mean, he has inspired not only me, but I mean everybody who has read his book, has had the opportunity to sit down and talk with him and just get to know him. I mean, I remember way back when I was brand new at a school, um, grade 5, because I always switched schools. I was always going around because I was always that weird kid that nobody ever wanted to talk to. Nobody ever got everybody. I was always a loner in school. But then in grade 5, I met tonight's guest, and I don't know. It's those things that you never dream that you would find somebody who would be with you after all these years. And I mean, we're talking 30 plus years now at this point. But I'll tell you, it's been quite a journey with this gentleman. We've been on and off. We weren't always like in each other's lives because we were always doing things. I was living on the West Coast. He was living here. He was doing his wrestling thing. He was always doing his thing. But it's but we always reconnected when we really needed to come back together. And I'll tell you, so I am so grateful that he's here tonight. We get to talk about this amazing journey he was on. And so right now, I want to bring out one of my best friends in the world, the guy that I get to sit beside on a weekly basis and talk about the paranormal so much, something we both love to do. So right now, let's welcome my guest, the one, the only, Michael John.
Well, hello. How are
How
you?
is it going, brother?
Not bad. And I was mathing in my head. That's a new word, mathing, I guess. So it's been 40 years we've known each other. 40
Wow.
years.
40 years.
So I'm 52, and I met you when I was 12.
Oh, there we
So
go.
blackcatlounge.com saying hello. We know who that is, of course, Mr. Timothy Shaw, and the very lovely. Oh, she's saying hi to Tim. We don't even exist. Sorry, it's on my show. I'm like taking over. Sorry.
Brother. No, I'm so grateful that you are here tonight because like I was telling people backstage, we go back a long, long way. I mean, grade 5, and I mean forward after that. I mean, it is. It's been truly a great journey. Just getting to know you and getting to being with you by your side through a lot of your ups and downs and all your highs and your lows. And so yeah, it's been truly an amazing. And like I was saying, like backstage is like when we first met back in grade 5, I was always that weird kid that nobody wanted. So when you started talking to me, I was
Me
thinking,
too.
here we go, just somebody who's just going to end up ignoring me and about by the time reset ends. But here we are, like you said, 40 years later, and we are going strong. Of course, we've got the very popular, the Paranormal Voice next to the Black Cat Lounge, of course, and Mystical's Awakening. But,
I'm glad you said it like that.
But yeah, no, we've been on a really cool journey with the Paranormal Voice, getting to do a lot of great opportunities. And I mean, for you yourself, like, oh my God, you are on a bullet train going through the world faster than ever, and it's so good to see. Uh, I did forget to mention that you are an indie wrestler. You are now officially a Canadian reality TV star. And brother, you did one hell of a job. I'm not going to spill the beans because maybe somebody on here has not seen last night's episode, but I'll tell you, it was Michael John at his finest, and I'll tell you, I could not have been more proud of you, man. Like I said, what a spectacular journey. But we are here to talk about the journey that you have been through. Like I said, it's. I know you talk about it in your book, and thank you so much. Yeah, no, I mean, but you talk about it in your book, but I'll tell you, your life has been a true roller coaster with ups and downs and side to sides bits. So, but most of all, I want to talk about your going back. So, I mean, you were addicted to drugs, and I mean that we see it every day. Like right now, it is at its worst. I mean, I think the last time I saw statistically, roughly about 20,000 people die a day from drug addiction. I mean, so let's wind it all the way back. How did you get into drugs? Like what was it that triggered that?
Well, a lot of people don't know this about me. I'm gonna put my pen down. I have that habit again. I feel like I'm on a show, like our show, and I always have a pen in my hand just because. So I'm putting the out of the way. We're gonna focus. So a lot of people don't know this about me, but when I was the tender age of 21, and yes, there's the classic, I did what I had to do because I needed the money. I worked at a strip club. And I think the first weekend, one of the other dancers, my nerves were shot and all that, obviously not, wasn't really my thing. With all due respect, anybody that does that, you do, you got to do. There's nothing wrong with it. Just that's where I was at the time with it. Anyways, I explored it. I got into it and they offered me a line of cocaine, to calm my nerves. And I was like all about it. Then I ended up hanging out with that guy for a few weeks, and it was readily available. It was just there. He's just throwing it at me. So that was my first experience with that drug for a few weeks. And I don't know what happened with him. I stopped dancing. I got a job elsewhere, a normal quote unquote normal job. So I moved on, and I didn't touch that stuff for a bit. And then after I broke up with fiance number 2, yes, I've had a lot of engagements in my life. I played house a lot. So after I left fiance number 2, someone who I thought was a friend, I mean, they knew a little bit about me like that. So they're like, hey, I got some coke, blah, blah, blah. And then it kind of went from there. I was going maybe once a month to twice a month to once a week. It slowly escalated, right? And then as I got better jobs and more money, it just went nuts. Anyway, I don't want to take off too much. So
No, I mean this is, I mean, a lot of people. I mean, you know me very well. I mean, I've never touched a drug in my life. I've been around people who did drugs, but I've never been tempted to use drugs. I mean, my drug of choice has always been alcohol. I've never been an I mean, I've come close to parts of my life where that I don't know, somewhat became an alcoholic, but I've never touched a drug. So to get yourself into doing drugs, I mean, like I said, it's a journey that obviously millions of people in this world are taking to cope. And like you said, it started because you were nervous. Uh, but it's like I said, it's I don't understand it, and this is the one thing that I think a lot of people that get into it really, where does it begin for them, and what is it that would drive them to do drugs? And like you said, it became an expensive habit. I mean, can if you're willing to, can you tell us at your peak of your drug addiction, how much money were you spending on on your addiction?
Thousands weekly.
Thousands.
Yeah, I was not necessarily earning money the proper way, and that's all I'm going to admit to.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I mean,
you know,
no, I mean,
that's
you're what, like I said, this is not about how it came about or how what because I mean, we know people do things, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It's the journey. So
sure.
you're doing drugs, you're living your life, you're doing what you think you need to do, but really, what effect on your life did this all have during your time, your journey? That's this part of your life.
Right. Well, so doing the math. So fiance number 4, I had a beautiful little girl with her. Um, I was making really good money. So in my head, I was good because I was paying all my bills. Everybody was eating well. Everybody was clothed. Christmases were great. I was a great provider, you know. So I was using nonstop anyway. I was a successful user up here,
Right.
And eventually it caught up to everything, and she just had enough. And um, certain family members knew what was going on, and they interjected in things. Next thing you know, they wouldn't let me back at my house, and I hated my family members. Like, why are you getting involved? That's your thinking, your thought process. You're very selfish. I was very selfish, very self-centered, engaged. But the bottom line was always getting more up my nose, right? No matter what.
Right.
That was the bottom line.
Right.
So one of my cousins, I was desperate because I had fallen in love with that little girl. I was with her for about 2 years of her life, before this happened. And, we had a lot of time to bond. I'm just not going to say her name because I don't
Right.
want.
No.
But anyway, so my family members interjected. I was out of the house, and then a cousin who had dealt with very similar experience with her child's dad, right? She's like, you know what you need to do you know, because you're not a friend, sound mind anyway. Why don't you go check into the psych ward? Tell them you're going to hurt yourself and other people.
Right.
And then it'll show everybody that you're willing to get help. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know I was pulling the trigger on what would be me releasing all rights to having my daughter in my life at all. That totally cut the cord. I had no idea, you know.
Right.
I'm still bitter at her about that. Forgive and forget. I've forgiven her from a while ago, but I can't be in a room with her, honestly. But, anyways, so that was the first time, so I ended up spending about a month in the psych ward. And it's funny, and I thought it was funny back then. I'm saying it as a word now, not that it is. It's not hilarious, but I was still so sick in the head. I had a dealer coming, bringing me stuff while I was there. I don't know how they didn't decide to test me or get a clue on it, but I was using in the psych ward. So when I got out, I went back to work and all that. Right back at it, boom. Hit the ground running. I had my own place. I tried to be sober for a couple months to see, somehow see my child. And she just the mom just manipulated me and played games to the point I cracked. And it was a good enough reason. We're going to go trick-or-treating. It was the first time I was going to see her. I was going to go trick-or-treating. And she already had a man. Like, I wasn't even, my family wasn't even escorting me out the door of my own home. She already had another guy. But I mean, I had my suspicions. I mean, she was doing her own thing. She was, I have this attraction to dancers for some reason. I don't know why, but she was one. And again, it is what it is. But so she didn't work for a while. Then she got a job again out of town. And, all of a sudden she had to shut her phone off to charge it and all this nonsense. And, it was slowly building up. There's other, things. I just kept using it. I didn't care, keep up with me. I'm all over the place, Dale, you know how I go. But anyway, so we're going to go trick-or-treating. I was going to finally see my child, for a minute. And then the day of, she throws at me, oh, and by the way, my boyfriend is coming too. And I was like, what? No. What is this? I thought this is family time. Well, you need to be mature enough to handle this, and yada yada yada. She was a big narcissist. I think we're all narcissistic, but she was really good at it. Anyways, again, not poor me. There's no victim mentality here. I'm just sharing the story and my thought process.
Yeah, no.
Right. So, I pulled out on that, and I went and grabbed a couple bags, and I was back at it, boy. Right back where I left off. Literally, hitting it hard and going. So I went on another 2.5 years of using every day. Anybody out there that knows the count on stuff, I was doing an 8-ball a day, sometimes, depending, minimum 8-ball, sometimes 2. I could go and imagine the size of what I was putting on my nose at, per use. Cause I would just bounce back the next day and go do it again.
Right.
I was that deep in it. And finally, I was missing so much work. They put me on probation that I couldn't be sick. I couldn't be late, anything, or I'd lose my job.
Right.
They even had me seeing a counselor who wanted to test me. And I always skirted, danced around it. I'd always have a reason why she couldn't test me.
Right.
And I don't know. I think she was just stringing me along anyway. She didn't care. Whatever they were trying to do was their agenda as well. Right. Looking back,
Right.
And I get it. But anyway, finally, that all kiboshed. I was late. I slept in and lost my job. And where I was, I'd been there for 11 years. And the buyout package they had back then, you get $1,000 per year. So I got 11 grand in a check that was spent in about a month between me and all my using friends, because I had a lot of friends. When you just don't care. And, my dealer was my closest friend, because he was one of those guys who'd get it for you and then want to hang out and use your stuff with you, And I didn't want to lose him as my connection, because I didn't know who else to go through. So I always put up with it. Thank you, Tim. So after all that caved, I went a little further. Best I could. I was, finally, I wasn't paying rent, nothing. I had to leave the place I was in because the landlords were trying to basically break in because I wasn't answering their phone calls, nothing. And I walked out of there with a bag of dirty clothes, and I went to a good friend of mine who had been planting a seed about going to a rehab for a while. I went to his work and I begged, hey, bro, I fucked up. I need help now. I hit my rock bottom and I had no choice but to be humble and say, yeah, okay. Okay. You know, so that was my first 90-day rehab. I got out of that. Where are we at with the question? I'm sorry. I'm probably getting ahead of myself.
No. I mean, it's perfectly good. I mean, this is, it's perfect. I mean, the stages and everything you had to go through. The only question I have is, where did wrestling play a part in all of this as well? Because for people that watch documentaries like Dark Side of the what is it called?
Dark Side of the Ring.
Dark Side of the Ring. I mean, you realize that a lot of these wrestlers in the probably couldn't even go back further, but I remember 70 and 80s. Wrestlers seemed to be really addicted to drugs back then. I mean, they were just like rock stars. They lived the party lifestyle. I mean, you heard it through a lot of those documentaries. And for those that don't know, like Michael John was an indie wrestler here in the city of Windsor for a long time for Border City Wrestling, and he had the opportunity. He was working for WWF at that time and WCW at that time. So I mean, that's the kind of the question. What kind of effect on your life with the drugs did the wrestling play with it? I mean, as well, because like I said, it was so accessible from what we hear and see.
Well, I won't mention names because I want to be respectful to people. Some of these people are passed on, but certain wrestlers I looked up to back then, I mean, it was common knowledge in the business who were drug heads, who burnt the candle at both ends. A lot of these guys were my idols, and I was going to be them. Whatever they did, I'm going to do. You know what I mean? I'm going to put as much juice in my body as I can. I'm going to do as much drugs. Oh, what's their drug of choice? Well, I'm going to do that. What did they do? Okay, well, I'm going to do that. How did they wrestle? They wrestled on this. I was going to do that. And I did. It started off my first experience. And I'm not blaming the wrestling business. I have choices.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the bottom line with everybody, even with your story. I mean, it's a choice. It's a choice you made. But I mean, this is how we grow up, right? And this is how we learn.
So my first experience, I had a buddy bring me magic mushrooms to a show. And of course, I've got to wrestle on magic mushrooms. This is going to be great. Oh my God, like so-and-so. So I did. And I was calling stuff out loud when I say that. So when we're in the ring, we'll talk to each other on occasion, what we're going to do. A couple moves ahead sometimes, give each other the heads up. So I was doing that. The whole crowd could hear me. And this guy, was not impressed. Not professional on my part at all. I thought it was hilarious because that's my frame of mind. I was on mushrooms. I'd laugh, Right. Then I had to drive one of my buddies home, Johnny Canine, who's passed away. And I was driving about an hour and I thought I was going the wrong way, to the point he's like, no, you're good. You're good. And I convinced him that I was going the wrong way. So he finally agreed. Yeah, turn around. 2 hours later, I realized I was going the right way the first time. And now we're going the wrong way. Right. So that was the last time I ever had to drive him, But yeah. Anyway, so it started with that. And then smoking marijuana a lot before matches, was a thing. That was always fun. And then slowly got into the coke to the point I couldn't be in the locker room without an 8-ball. I in my head, I thought I had to have that. So I'm nowhere but in the bathroom most of the time.
Right.
In the locker room, I'm in the bathroom until I got to go out. And then it was really affecting the quality of my skills, to say the least. Plus, they're not stupid. The boys aren't stupid. They know when someone's overdoing it, you know.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, with my relationships, I was in and out of the business a lot. Because like I said, I've had multiple engagements and multiple relationships, playing house and then not playing house. So I was in and out all the time. I'm done. Then a couple months later, I get the bug again or whatever. Maybe I wanted to impress this girl I just started. Oh, wait, I'm a wrestler. It's just ridiculous reasoning in and out. I just going round and round in a loop between that and the using. But that's how it affected the wrestling. I mean, really just got in the way, and it became more important than even being like my else. Just the important part was to use, and that was it. It wasn't anything other than that. It got to that.
Right. So we're struggling along. You're still using, because you were using right through up until your last relationship.
Right.
So now let's start turning the corner a little bit. What's the one thing that one like what eureka moment was it that you finally looked yourself, I don't know if it's the mirror or what it was, and says, okay, it's time for a change. Where are you in this life, and what are you doing that you said, you know what, I can't do this. I've got to figure this shit out, because you were gonna be, I don't know, maybe it was gonna put you back on the street somewhere. I don't know.
I think that's a motivating factor. The fear of that, going that far back into it, was a motivator. Definitely in the back of my head. So she left. This is 3 years ago now. She left with the dogs. I mean, her and I were so bad. It was a couple years. We had, single beds in a 1-bedroom apartment. It was like that. Yeah. And I wish her well. I hope she's doing good. But I put her through a lot, and that's unfortunate. Anyway, the biggest thing was the dogs were gone. That bothered me. Like, I'm a dog guy. Now I'm a cat guy. It's what a 360. But anyway, sorry. She left, and that was one thing. It was like, Yahoo, let's go. And like a week later, I lost my job that I had. But I had some money saved up, so I was like, whatever, go. And then I was like, oh, God, I need a job. I had a moment of clarity, and I was like, I need to get another job. What am I doing? I'm not going to live off unemployment. There's no way. This is stupid. Struggle like that, So I got a better job. Same job, duties. I'm a dispatcher, logistics dispatcher by trade, working in an office, but way better money. Like it was like a massive hourly raise overall. It was like, holy cow, night and day money wise.
Right.
So different kind of shifts too. You work continentals, you do 12-hour days for 4 days in a row, and then you get 3 to 6 days off. So I was like, oh, I could do this, because now I could go crazy on my stuff, do the coke, bounce back before I go back to work. No one will know. That there's that. No one will know. I always think that, can't speak for other addicts, but
Right.
But that wasn't the case, man. I'm not 22. You don't bounce back like that, at 49. I'm sketchy, I'm still feeling the guilt, the shame, and I'm sketchy. It's like, why did I blow all that money? What a waste. And I did nothing. And I hid inside with the curtain shut, and all this stuff, that goes along with it. And then suddenly, I don't know, something clicked. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. How do I stop? Because I get courtesy calls from my dealers,
Yeah.
Text messages, social media messages. So I started blocking people. I started deleting phone numbers to help myself. How can I call them? It's not like nowadays you don't have numbers written down. We're not doing rotary dial. We don't know them off by heart. It's just the name.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not like I knew any of that by memory, fortunately. So I cut all that out, literally, blocked and deleted things and people and places and things. So that was a big step. Then I taught myself, and I still struggle with this. Oh God, to get an itinerary of what I'm doing today. What am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to work. What am I doing after? Okay, I'm gonna scrub I'm gonna sweep them off the floors. I'm gonna clean the bathroom. I'm gonna work on my book. The book was the treat. I do all the other hard stuff first, and the book was the fun part at the end.
Right.
I rewrote that thing 5 times, man, and I still wasn't even close to happy with it. But it's like, at what point do you stop?
Right.
You could just keep rewriting it forever. I'm sure certain people listening right now that have written books as well know. Yeah, you just keep going. Otherwise, you don't stop. You got to find okay, I'm submitting that. Let yourself be vulnerable and submit it. Thank you, Tim. And that was a big deal to get it done, because I finally accomplished something, and it told me, yeah, man, you can do stuff. You can achieve your dreams. Because in my head, I never did anything with wrestling. I never did. I mean, I did some things, but I didn't do it.
Right.
I didn't get there. You know what I mean? The ultimate, the pinnacle of it. So that's always bothered me. But I did this book. I did it. Was it a New York Times bestseller? No. But some very supportive and loving people. And there's a lot of you out there right now watching and listening. You gave a shit, and you grabbed a copy and you threw it up there. Thank you, Lana. So thank you. But yeah, that was the first. We're going uphill a bit here now, Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, Jason, I'm jealous. I still haven't got my autograph copy yet.
What?
But I do have a autograph copy of Jamie Greer's wrestling book that he just brought out earlier this year.
Yes.
So that is autographed by Irish Bobby Clancy. That I will go down in history of saying I love that. I mean, being one of your best friends all these years, and I mean, during your drug years, yeah, we weren't in contact. I mean, and I don't know if I've ever told you, but I mean that bothered the hell out of me to watch you do that or know that you were doing that and the road you're down. But I there was nothing I knew I could do, so why was I even going to bother? Because you could say this. I mean, how many people try to intervene in your life and you wouldn't listen to them anyways? So I mean, but I always knew that I was always be here. You always knew all you had to do was pick up the phone, and I would be right there listening to you going through whatever you were going through. And I do remember that I think that we didn't talk for quite a few years. Like I can't even remember how many years we did not talk. But I mean, I remember the first time you called me, it was to me, it was like that long lost brother you were always looking for, finally coming back. And I mean, I knew you were still using, but I mean, at least we were able to talk. Like you were kind of not as I don't know how bad it was, but I was still able to talk to you and see each other when we could. I mean, I know I was always off doing my thing, doing the more family thing, and
Yeah.
and working my way through life trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to do with my life. And I got into, I mean, it was you that got me actually deep into the paranormal world with you being on your paranormal team, Spectral Solutions, back in the day. But so yeah, so let's just keep the ball rolling. So you finally you had this epiphany. You can't do this anymore. Now, I mean, it. I know quitting drugs is not that easy because I mean it is probably one of the most difficult things in life to do besides giving up cigarettes. Uh, so I mean, like how, like what has been the great motivator? Um, yeah, don't worry, Deb. It's hard for me to not cry too. But what was the big motivative factor in all this to keep you clean and to keep you going? To not just easily pick up a phone and because yeah, it is that easy to get drugs in this world. It's not hard at all. So I want to know what keeps you like what was it that kept you from going back and because I mean I know you're struggling. I know every day is a struggle because I mean it's easy when you're having a hard day. It's fuck this shit. Just
Well, I don't know. How do I explain that? It's just the mindset. I got sick and tired of it. Literally. I mean, there's many times. I mean, in rehab. I mean, I was in rehab twice over the course of this. Psych. No. Yeah, rehab twice. Psych ward 3 times. Twice for attempted suicide. And this isn't a pissing contest. This isn't poor me. This is just telling you what's up.
right,
And the homelessness as well. Um, um, None of that ever really made me want to stop. I didn't
right,
care once I was already thinking of ways to make it happen again. Well, I told you when I was in the hospital the first time, I was still
right,
using it, you
right.
know? Um, sorry, Luna came up. There's one factor is Luna the cat, but, silly little things. Anyway, I don't know. I did the book. Okay. I'll answer like this. And I've answered this like this before and it makes sense to me.
Right.
So when I know you know it and Deb knows it because I've shared this with Deb, who's watching. Sorry, Mama Deb. But anyway, when I was a kid, I had really good Christmases. I was really blessed, and I don't use that term loosely. I had 2 sets of grandparents and home, so we had 3 Christmases essentially. It was great, And I'd always be excited, a few days before. Oh, Santa's coming! Santa's coming! Oh God, couldn't sleep, wouldn't shut up about it. Same thing. That thought process, that excitement, when I knew the dealer was coming. When I knew my stuff was coming. I learned to transfer that thought process, that vibration, to achieving my book and the feeling of that. I pulled a thought process from way back from when the very first time, one of the few times I got to be with the World Wrestling Federation. That was such an amazing day and an amazing feeling. It felt like Christmas to be around all these names, like literally as close as Luna's to me. I mean, I'm standing next to Macho Man for fuck's sake. I didn't talk to him because I was intimidated, but he was right there. The feeling, the emotion. Oh God, yeah. So I've transferred that. So I got the book going. I ran with that feeling with the book, and I accomplished it. And I kept going on that vibe. And then with you, Dale, we're doing our shows, and then we got the opportunity to go to some conventions, and that's Christmas. The thinking of it, the getting out, going to do that, and living life. Living life is the key sentence here, right?
Right.
I didn't live life for a long time. I hid in here or wherever, up my nose in Fantasia in my head because there's a bunch of stuff going on in your head. You're going to conquer the world, bro. But I'm sitting here with curtains shut in the middle of the day, afraid of hearing someone walking up the hall thinking they're going to come knock on my door because I'm so paranoid, you know. But I found the feeling of Christmas and I transferred that over from all those years, from actual Christmas to drug use to life. And that's the feeling I've embraced. I don't give a shit. I've had, the first year I struggled with, on occasion, man, I wish I could get someone or get some.
Right.
As it's moved on, bro, it's not a thought. For me, it's not a thought. I'm in such a different headspace. And now I have so many things I'm vibing high on. That's all I care about. I burn out and my depression, you know all about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to get out of bed. And I'm like, oh God, I feel like shit, Dale. I feel terrible. And then you send me all those nice memes and all those nice text messages and shit. And, you dumb son of a bitch, you're loved. No, get your shit together. But no, get off your ass, do something, cheer yourself on. Anyway, yeah, I it's not a thought. It's not a thought. I don't care. I don't know how else to say it. I don't care. It's funny because I went through the rehabs. I went through Narcotics Anonymous, and I'm not saying do this. I don't see. It doesn't make sense for me. Right. I'm getting my recovery, however, that, through all this and all these awesome things in my life, all these awesome people I have in my life, there's been such a transference of individuals in my life, even, the bad ones are gone. The negative ones are gone. The ones I don't need are gone. I'm not saying they're all bad, but just life changes. And I've got such a support system. So many people that give a shit. Again, even those you guys that are watching right now, thank you. I just don't give a shit, Dale. That's how I deal with it. It's not a thought. It doesn't.
Right. But that's what works. I just want to take 1 second out of this because, yes, please tell your son we are so proud of him that he is 1 year sober. And I mean, it's 1 year is one big step in time. I mean, it is so yeah.
Not
Lana, we're so proud of your son. So please tell him
love you
that Lana, here on Seeking Vibe show and people who are on the side are so proud of your son for doing it, and just know that he's got a support system behind him. So yeah, that's amazing. Like 1 year, and I mean, here you are. You're still going. You got great opportunities. I mean, great things have been happened to you. You're now, like I said, you are on a bullet train, going through life right now. So many truly amazing things. So let's talk about for a brief moment. So you had the opportunity of a lifetime to do something that really has nothing to do with the paranormal. It has nothing to do with wrestling. You gained a really good friend in the entertainment industry who you've kept in contact. So just tell us a little bit about that, like the whole how you landed this role.
Okay, I'm under a non-disclosure, and they've really got their thumb on me, so I gotta tread.
Yeah, no. We're not gonna talk. We don't want to talk to show, but just
okay.
Meeting your entertainment friend, how that all became, and then one day she threw you a bone, and there you are. You're on TV. But I mean, like, just talk about that role, that line, like how it led up to this moment to you doing what you're doing right now.
So I don't know, 20 years ago, give or take a minute, I was part of that group you mentioned, Spectral Solutions. We were lucky enough to have some friends. Well, I made some friends, some were enemies, and that is what it is. It was a big group. Thank you, Jason. Me too. Absolutely. For everybody, man. Hope everybody has Christmas every day. So we had so Andrew and Helen Patterson, they were our videographers. They made some great video documentaries about local haunts here with us featured in it. We got a little cult following in the city. You were one of them, Dale. You jumped on that train. You enjoyed it. It was a cool thing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Everybody does it now, so it's it's
you guys were the OG paranormal team of Windsor. I mean, I don't think anybody was really doing what you guys were doing to the level you guys were doing it anyway. I mean, there was probably those thrill seekers that were going through the graveyards or breaking into abandoned houses.
They weren't doing seminars like we were doing. And
yeah. No, you guys were definitely leaders in doing it in this city.
We got a couple, we got out in the media a little bit. One was our local newspaper, the Windsor Star, and then someone in Toronto saw this article and reached out to our email. She was a casting director. I don't want to say her name.
Right.
But, I'll say her first name. Her first name's Heather. Anyway, she says, I really like what you guys are doing. I'm impressed. I've seen your video clips on YouTube. It's because we had shorts because we were selling DVDs. That's how long ago this was at the events of the documentaries. And so she said, I saw some of the shorts and I'm really impressed. I'd like to meet with you guys and talk about having you guys get on a TV show on a network. And we're like, whoa, of course, so decent. So we had a few meetings with her and it just didn't work out. They put us on the table. We didn't get the show and that's okay, whatever. But wow, what an experience that was to be even considered for something like that was amazing,
Right.
Now, I always stayed in contact because why wouldn't you? I don't know. Why wouldn't you? Her and I got along good. So, just, Christmas, whatever, and just small talk here and there, whatever.
Right.
But every so often, she was really decent about it. She'd be like, hey, Michael John, I got this opportunity. You want to apply for it? I'll put your name in. We'll do an interview. I can get you going. Yeah, please. Yeah. Didn't work. I call it throwing darts. Yes, Tim, exactly. Someone that's really taught me how to be humble is Mr. Tim Shaw, and laugh at life a little bit. Don't take it all so serious. So thank you, brother. Love you for that. This past April, there she was. Hey, so I got this thing. It's got nothing to do with wrestling. It's really not paranormal stuff, but I think, you might be a fit. It's a reality TV show. Do you want to, would you like to have an interview for it? I'm like, of course, sure. Let's, again, throw a dart. Let's see what happens, So she sets up the interview and then she's like, okay, now I need you to sign what's called a non-disclosure. It doesn't mean you're getting the job, but you can't talk about it. I was like, the hell is this? Okay. I think I heard my friend, our friend, Frank Kupka one time talk about I got that NDA, this non-disclosure one time we were hanging out with him. And I was like, what's he talking about? That sounds cool, And I was like, oh, that's what he was talking about. You can't talk about it. So, but you can say NDA all day long and be cool. But anyway, there's a few interviews. She's like, okay, you beat this one. You got through you got through. Okay, you got through. Okay, now you got to talk to the cops, the RCMP. So okay, whatever. I got no problems,
Right.
Not that I ever got caught for. No kidding. No. Anyway, so I did that, and we did well with that. That was an experience. I had to go for a drive and meet people, and they had like a scanner and this barcode they had sent me in my email. I had to get scanned. It's just a little weird, but just to make sure I am. Where's your passport? Where's your license? Right. Let's see your footprints. What? No. So we did that, and then finally, I had one more interview. I'm not sure if I can mention it, so I'm just going to say I had one more type of an interview.
Right.
And then that was it. And then I remember I was at work and course, there's her name on my phone. It was like chaos in the office. And I ran through everyone and everything and ran outside to answer that phone call. But I'm thinking, she's only calling to tell me I didn't get it.
All right.
And she's like, hey, I'm sorry to bother you at work. I'm sorry to tell you, I hate to tell you this. And I was like, fuck, but guess what? I go, what? She goes, they love you. You got it. And I was like, screw, wow, my God, nuts. Everyone's like, are you okay? Like, oh, I'm better than okay. You have no idea. Then again, so it got awkward because with the non-disclosure, it's like, well, I got to tell them I want time off, but who do I tell when I can't say anything?
Right.
So I got direction from Heather on how to go about it, and it worked out the way it was meant to.
Right.
And my job was stupid supportive. I can't say enough good things about how supportive they were for me to have this opportunity. They're like, you know what, we love you helping us grow, but we also like to see our employees grow and live their dreams too. And of course, why would we not want you to go do that?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the amazing part. And now, I mean, even more exciting, something that you never thought you would be a part of. You are now back in the wrestling industry. Totally different role, because anybody who knows Michael John cannot wrestle physically anymore. But so talk about how this little opportunity came about, and the role that you have, as much as you can. Like talk about just getting back into the wrestling business, and what does this mean for you now?
Well, sky's the limit, honestly. I'm pretty amazed at how well this is being received. Beside myself. Sorry, Luna's trying to trek through. Sorry, everybody.
That's all right.
Go ahead, Luna. Go. Well, you're the boss, not me. Go ahead, Bum. Good girl. Okay. Yeah, perfect. It's an octopus, folks. No. Anyway, sorry. Focus. Well, I got an email or a message from this gentleman, Mike Joseph. He's one of the owners of NCG Wrestling. And he was like, man, I would exactly, Tim, Luna girl, my girl. Not to be overdone or overshadowed by Piper as well, somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
I will answer that once I finish this, of course.
I'll just leave it up to the screen so we don't forget.
Okay. And he's like, you're a legend, around here. We would love to have you with us. We got a show coming up here on this date, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate you reaching out. That means a lot, all these kind words. Some to this effect, anyway. However, I'm busy with doing paranormal things that kind of consumes my time. I wish you all the best in what you're doing. I think it's great. So the show happened. And I remember I saw pictures, but I didn't process it for a hot minute. And then someone was like, did you see how well they did? They drew like almost 700 people their first show. Man, this guy and this guy. I'm like, wow, they are the real deal. They are serious, and because I was hesitant. That's part. Sorry, I forgot to mention. I was hesitant. I wasn't sure. Is this just a rib, like a joke or whatever? Like you're just humoring me,
right?
Boy, wow. So I reached out and I congratulated him, of course. That's amazing. I go, would you happen to still be interested? Because I could get behind what you're doing. I really could, if you still want me. And he's like, absolutely. So what's interesting, him and his partners, his family, they would sit front row and watch me and Otis Apollo and Scott D'Amore and some other name back in the day, that when they were kids. So they were legit wrestling fans. They love the business. They love it. They have that passion,
Right.
And yeah, that's what amazes me the most all the time. Just, you know, the passion. And that's what you got to have it, right?
Right.
For anything. Uh, yeah, so I am the NCG general manager, which means I come out usually at the beginning, and I'm a heel, so I can get behind that. I'm perfect for that. I'm a dick, you know. I do what I want, when I want, how I want. Much like the persona you see on the TV show, The Traders Canada. I developed more. This guy, Bobby Clancy, became more as that show went on. That's in my head who I was, and he just carried on. I think a lot of people, it was received well, and they liked him. The Michael John on that show was actually also Bobby Clancy. But anyway, yes, thanks, Tim. Yeah, she does, Lana, for sure. Always. I get to be a manager. I have a guy by the name of Giant Orion who's 6'6". I just got two other gentlemen, Jesse V and Damian Chambers. I got a pretty boy and a muscle man. They're like, those two guys go together like bread and butter, man. You know, they look great. They're the modern day Shawn Michaels and Diesel for the wrestling fans that know, you know. You can appreciate what I'm saying. These guys are balls to the wall, kick-ass heels. Giant Orion, no exception. Every guy makes sense to be with me. And that show, the energy at the show, the fans, they're old school wrestling fans. They want a bad guy versus a good guy, and they love it. They just love to see the bad guy versus the good guy, and they cheer that on, and they get right behind it, and the energy is amazing. So yeah, and there's opportunities. Anyway, sorry, it's opening some doors already. On top of, you know, it's all wrestling related, but it's opening other doors, which is great.
And that's cool. And like I said, growing up, being around you, going with you to you used to go watch you wrestle all the time at the Border City wrestling shows. Even the times I got to watch you on TV, on WWF, fighting guys 20 times your size. No, it was such a great moment when you told me you were getting back in the wrestling, because I know wrestling was one of your big loves in life. That it was something that you were always proud of, and I'm glad that you're back in it and you're loving it. I mean, I've only been able to get out to one show so far, but I'll tell you, it was when you made your debut, which I tell you, the whole show, the way you walked through that curtains, I had goosebumps. I had goosebumps that made Goosebumps look jealous. Because it was like that proud moment of you really stepping out on the stage, and you know it was like, here I am, world, and it was such a great moment, and uh, it was everything, and I mean, it was like your whole life, and then boom, it's like that success story, right? You know, you go through all these up and downs, and then boom, you bust through the curtain, and there you are, back on top of the world, where you wanted to be.
And I'm gonna comment on what you just said while I answer Tim's question. So what am I most proud of? What I'm proud of, and it's still happening, and you haven't seen anything yet, is the comeback is the best part. And this is the comeback, folks.
So yeah, so I'm gonna ask you, for anybody who's watching this show right now on the side down the road, what would be your one piece of advice for a guy right now who is probably addicted to drugs and think that this is his whole life? What would be your one thing you would like to say to them right now?
Change your thought process. Stop being negative. Think positive. Change your vibe. Your vibration is everything. get positive. What, like, I found Christmas. It's my Christmas. Raise your vibration. Change your thought process. You know,
Right.
nothing is that bad. You can always figure it out. You can figure it out. Oh my God. Think positive, man.
Right.
Change it.
So, what's going on with Michael John? Where can we see Michael John? What's Michael John going to be doing? And also, for those that want to pick up your book, where's the best place to buy it?
Well, my book is Michael John's Paranormal Ghost Stories. That's available on all Amazon outlets. You will see me December 7th at the Portuguese Club in Leamington, Ontario with NCG. Legacy is the name of the show. We've got some very serious wrestlers coming out for that. You can find tickets and information on ncgwrestling.com. I was just on the Wrestling Roundup Radio, CKRT Radio. .com. You could hear that interview. I just did that a few days ago. I'll go onto their YouTube. You can actually see the in-studio interview. So you can see me sitting there in front of the microphones with Ray and Dan, who are, speaking of passion about the wrestling business. They know their wrestling inside and out and sideways. They really know their stuff. So that was cool. What else? What else is going on? You can see me at Crunch Fitness. I'm working out there all the time. I don't know.
And you catch him on the Paranormal Voice.
You can catch me on the Paranormal Voice very soon. When is our next one? The night? Is it the night?
Let me look at
in the 20s.
Yeah. 28th.
We have Cody Laughing Wolf talking about his Dogman story.
Yep.
And then we have Brian Sawyer, Bigfoot investigator extraordinaire, on the 29th.
Oh, there we go.
How did I remember that, bro? I don't have any cheat sheets. What's happening?
See, things are always changing. Well, so just before we go, I always like to sorry, folks. Michael John's got me all flustered now. So, you know, every once in a while, not only songs that inspire me, but phrases and all kinds of things. So I was going through, and this one's been pretty important for a little while now, and I think it kind of fits into what we were talking about here today. So this is just a little bit of motivational thing. It says, "Why is it we don't believe in ourselves? Why is it that as soon as things get tough in our lives, we start doubting ourselves? We start thinking that we may not make it through, stressing, worrying, imagining things that may not go, that it may go wrong in the future. I'll tell you the human mind is a powerful, but also can be destructive. It can be your greatest friend and it can be your worst enemy. The person you see reflecting in the mirror will always provide you your greatest challenges in life. Take control of your life, control of your mind, conquer yourself, and you can conquer anything in this world. Yes, it is easy to be positive when everything is going your way, but you are going to be the one of the very few who stand up when things are tough. When everything is going against you, that's when you must show yourself. That's when your character will shine through. That's when your story will be born. Your story of success ain't building no story if you're giving up. The world is full of people who gave up. The world needs hope. The world needs you to stand up, to fight for your challenging moments. And that is true, folks. And right here, Michael John is that guy, the guy who stood up when nothing else seemed like it was going to go his way. So, folks, you can do this. You've got this. Every day is a fight. All you have to do is know that tomorrow is always a brand new day.
Very nice.
So,
and I love your house.
Thank you. You know, this is what TPV money gets me. But yes, so Michael John, thank you so much for taking the time to do this show today.
Thank you for having
As
me.
always, I'm so proud of you, brother, to be where you are today, doing the things that you're doing. Inspire me every day to fight harder and to keep going and know that life is beautiful, the dream is beautiful, and you can always, there's always tomorrow. And so, with that, folks, I thank for everybody on the side who tuned in.
Yes,
It
thank you.
was it was a great day, great moment. Stay tuned. Next Tuesday, I have the Goose is going to be on the show, and we are going to be talking about his inspirational journey and how he overcame his weight loss and stuff like that. I mean, wow, like truly a remarkable story. Like I said, another true amazing gentleman, a guy that we've gotten to know very well over the last few years. So he's going to be joining me next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Ray's Gooseby, the Goose as we all know him. So hopefully everybody can come back, join me next Tuesday. But guys, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you to Michael John. And guys, always know tomorrow needs you. In the meantime, we'll see you then. Thank you.